Hello, everybody. What is crack-a-lackin'? Oh, 1 second. Let me just. There we go. Switching out for some lo-fi because we're going to be working on some stuff. Hello. Welcome back. Hopefully. Oh, I'm here myself. Oop, hopefully I don't echo at all. Hello. Welcome back. Good to see some familiar faces. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, thanks for reappearing. I appreciate the support. Today we're gonna be working on since there are some new people in the chat. A couple of weeks ago, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started to. Oh, no issue at all. You do not need to apologize for missing that. The VOD's up, so if you want to skim through it, since I know it is 8 hours after all, if you want to skim through it, that is totally fine by me. But otherwise, don't even feel bad about it. You know, totally understandable. There was no requirement for anyone to be there, but the fact that you thought to at least apologize means a ton to me. So yeah, to continue though, we are working on my tabletop role-playing game. It's gonna be a mech game. I started about it about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I started this game, and I thought, hey, since I'm not really doing anything today, might as well work on it some more, right? Might as well work on some and on the words and stuff are hard sometimes. But the point being is that I'm definitely gonna be asking for a lot of feedback. Mainly because it's easy to get stuck in your own head, and also I want a lot of this to do with like what you guys want to see in a mech suit game. Let's quickly switch over to the working screen. There we go. And yeah, as you can see, we have this mech game. Oh yeah, don't even sweat it. Thank you for still appearing. Yeah, hang on. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. I was just doing some DMing. I was playing a game and I was DMing it a little bit. So my brain is a little scattered right now, but I would like to continue working on this if possible. Most things that we have worked on so far was basically kind of like throwing down the skeletal work on character creation, at least, and mainly the fact that there's two different character sheets that you're gonna be having to work with. Technically, there's going to be the pilot sheet, which is going to be the main character, and then there's going to be the mech sheet, and both of those are basically their own distinct characters, in different ways. And yeah, hang on, let me just turn this up so y'all can hear the lo-fi. There we go. Yes, so personally speaking, there's this one mech game out there that I personally enjoyed a lot called Lancer. And Lancer had a really in-depth customization of their mechs, and I would like to try to achieve something very similar. But my issue with Lancer is that it doesn't, personally for me, focus enough on the pilots. So I would like to have this sort of in-depth customization of both pilot and mech, primarily because I think that's cool, right? Like I know that there's gonna be people who are gonna be basically playing to play the mech. I know there's going to be pilots, or like people who are gonna be playing to just be the pilots. I want it to be possible for someone to run basically a game with both, or like play a game where they only play as a pilot, or play a game where they only play as in like they're only inside the mechs. And I want them to be able to kind of play off each other in that kind of way. Although so far with what I'm thinking, a lot of the mech's abilities are going to be bouncing off of the pilot's abilities. But that's not too bad because, you know, this is not going to be a situation where you're not going to be having a pilot inside a mech. And even if you are going to be playing a game where you're only playing inside the mechs, you still need a pilot in there because that's basically the brain of the suit. So, hopefully, it's so far I think it's shaping up to be pretty well. Pretty good. Yeah, other thoughts and things is that I think today we should be focusing pretty intently on working on the pilots specifically. Because I feel like once we figure out the pilots and what they do and like how you make a pilot. There are two ways I can see this going. One, pre-built character or pre-built balance mech and pilot options, or include a lot of possible add-ons to maximize player customizability as at the expense of having player imbalance, giving an edge to more experienced players who know their stuff. This is not a war game. Let me just put that real quick. So, this is not a war game. This is not going to be a game where you're fighting against each other. This is much more akin to Dungeons and Dragons, if that makes sense. It seems something has clicked, so hopefully that's good. Yeah, no, totally understandable. Mainly because role-playing games like that do originate from war games. So having a war gamer perspective involved is totally valid, especially because that probably is going to be a play style, right? The war gamer, it happens in every TTRPG, right? It happens in like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, like Cyberpunk, Shadowrun, Deadlands, all that stuff, right? They all have at least one player who tries to min-max all the way and basically treat it like a war. But that's just how things are, you know? That's not a huge issue at all. But in saying that, basically, hey, you know, I'm gonna call you Pooch, since that's your name now, the dancing Pooch. I'm gonna just call you Pooch if that's all right. Listen, Pooch. There's nothing wrong with min-maxing. It is a valid play style. If that is what makes it fun for you, that is what makes it fun for you. Personally speaking, that's just not my wheelhouse. I definitely, like in a lot of games, like to play what I think is the coolest option. But if you want to be a min-maxer, that is completely valid. And you should not let anyone tell you it's not valid, because they are wrong, because they don't know how your own fun. So, yeah. Pushing love to add difficulty of not having a proper build. Oh, so you're the min part of maxing. You like kind of handicapping yourself. It's like when I played Mech Warrior Online, speaking of mech games, and I ended up playing like an urban mech for like a week straight, just because I wanted to have a difficult time playing the game. Specifically an urban mech with a gauze rifle slapped on the side. So, you know, it's fun. But yeah, so as to kind of bounce off what you were saying previously, though, it is going to be a lot of character customization, because it is going to be a role-playing game rather than a war game. So similar to like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. But the mechs, on the other hand, the mechs start out pre-built. And like the mechs are basically gonna be like the classes with like giant quotation marks when I say that. But that being said, there's nothing stopping you from heavily customizing a mech, or if you want or have the resources, or if you just steal it, you can switch mechs, right? So you can essentially switch your class. But that being said, there is going to be a lot more layers of like customizing. Like for instance, to kind of bring in Mobile Suit Gundam. Oh yeah, no, it definitely is ambitious. I just wanted a project to work on because I was bored out of my mind. So I was like, oh shit, let me just work on something super difficult. And hey, you know what? Might as well stream it. I think it'll be really fun personally if at one point I can manage to get you guys, as in the audience, involved in physically play testing the game. And of course, if they're alright with it, streaming it, I think that would be fun. But to continue, there's going to be hopefully builds where what's it called? The character and the mech will be bouncing off of each other. So, for instance, put into Mobile Suit Gundam terms, if you're a new type, right? You can be hopping back and forth, which, to those who don't know what a new type is basically just a space wizard. Think like the Force from Star Wars. They'll basically be able to bounce back and forth from mechs if you wanted to. But if you take the time and resources to upgrade your mech, you can actually start doing some pretty crazy things. Like, for instance, you might be able to get bonuses to like your perception checks, right? Because your brain and your mech are working in tandem with each other. So when you need to take in data, right, of the battlefield, your brain and your mech can basically work much closer together. But to continue with that thought process, in Gundam there's these things called funnels, right? Which a funnel is basically a attack drone that is controlled with the pilot's mind. And they usually work as like harassment things. You usually don't see funnels actually taking out mobile suits. Most of the time they are harassing a different mech. But that being said, if you take your time and resources to upgrade your mech, you will be able to actually incorporate systems and equipment that are funnels. Now, of course, there is going to be alternatives for people who aren't new types, just like there are in Gundam, because in Gundam, there's also a thing called an incom, spelled I-N-C-O-M. An incom is basically a funnel attached on a wire, and instead of being controlled with the pilot's mind, it's controlled with a computer inside the mech. Now, of course, incoms are inherently weaker because their reaction time is slower, they tend to be much more predictable, and if you cut the wires that are attaching the incom to the mobile suit, they will stop working. So basically, if you're wanting to build like a funnel use suit, you can start out with an incom because incoms are cheaper. That is the goal. I'm also nerding out right now because I want to get the ideas across, you know? If you wanted to start out with like a funnel type build for your mech, right? You could probably try to pick a mobile suit that already, mobile suit. I won't be using the word mobile suit because that is a trademarked term, but for the sake of examples and the fact that I'm going to be probably speaking a lot in Mobile Suit Gundam terms, I'm going to say mobile suit. If you want to play a funnel type or funnel use suit, you're going to probably want to start out with getting incoms on your mech, right? Because incoms will be then can be upgraded to funnels after you get systems and feats for your character that will allow you to be able to use funnels, and then you can keep on piling on the funnels, so you can get like, instead of like harassing funnels, you can get funnels that are like mobile shields, right? Like Unicorn Gundam. The Unicorn Gundam has funnels that are 2 shields, right? Like 2 of those shields with the fucking Gatling gun strapped on the bottom of the shield. So not only can it use it as a defensive object, but it can also use it as an offensive object, and an offensive object that actually has stopping power rather than harassment power, because it is a fucking Gatling gun. Specifically, 2 Gatling guns slapped on the bottom of a shield that flies around like a flippin' drone, right? So, my ultimate goal is to be able to let someone play that power fantasy. Because if we're being real here, that is a pure and utter power fantasy. So currently what we have in the for the pilot's end, right? We have pilot stats, which is physicality, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Basically just D&D stuff, but I combine dexterity and strength together because I feel like making the distinction between a physical might versus the ability to be able to control your body, which is basically the difference between strength and dexterity, isn't super needed when you also have people running around with like a Glock, right? You know, being able to punch something is really hard is good, but also being able to shoot someone, that's also pretty good. Meanwhile, constitution is not included in physicality. This constitution is like being able to get punched or get shot and still be able to move. Or get poisoned and still be able to move. So, you know, you have these little descriptions here. So like physicality, right? It is the ability to move and control their body, as well as the power within said body, to include stuff like using heavy weaponry, dueling, in and out of mech, stuff like that. Constitution, the ability to get hit. Intelligence is pretty self-explanatory. It's the ability to hack, modify, strategize, so on and so forth. Wisdom is stuff like being able to think of their surroundings. This includes perception, street smarts, etc. Charisma is the pilot being able to convince, deceive, threaten, you know, bard shit. And then the pilot backgrounds determine where your character is from, right? And we just have like their background before they pilot the mech. So, for instance, just a couple of ones we have come up with so far is something like soldiers, hacker, mechanic / technician, weaponsmith, a streamer, right? If someone is if you're streaming, you'll be able to do that, or a politician, or probably the default one is draftee. So you're an ordinary citizen, more or less, and you're forced into service, right? So listen, in Gundam, I will say there's an entire Macross anime where the pilots of the Macross are fighting a war by being idol singers, like idols, right? That is the entire Macross. It's like series is them being idols. So streamer is fitting. Yes, way. So it is a fitting thing to say, streamer or idol. Here, I'm gonna put a slash in. /idol, just to spite you. Idol. But yeah, the probably the default is the draftee. Yeah, there is a Macross series where they are idols. That's how they're fighting the war, by singing and stuff. They're basically propaganda for the war. Then we worked on one feat. We had one feat idea, which is new type, and that is once again gonna be changed. But just due to the lack of a better word, we're calling them new types. Basically, space psychics. I might just end up calling them empaths. But we also have these mech ones, which is like mech stats, which is speed, strength, armor, heat, and engine wattage. Speed is how quickly the mech can move. Strength is how like the sheer power that the mech has. Armor is the ability to withstand hits. Heat is the ability to push the mech beyond its limits. Stuff like overclocking the system, overcharging weapons if it's not physical, increasing movement speed beyond safe limits, general increase of stats for a short time, shooting beyond the appropriate length, so like getting the barrel red hot, for instance, stuff like that. And then engines is basically kind of like a soft cap system on allowing your mech to operate. So, like how much wattage a engine can produce will determine if you're able to use a weapon or not, right? So, having like a laser sword, right? There's different tiers of laser swords, right? There might be like, I'm not sure, like a basic laser sword, quote unquote. Advanced, masterwork, so on and so forth. And those will all have different wattage requirements, right? So like a basic run-of-the-mill laser sword is going to be like 600 megawatts, for instance, maybe. Meanwhile, like a master-crafted experimental energy sword, that's also like a cannon that you can use when you're not using it as a sword. That's gonna be like 20,000 megawatts. That's a ridiculous amount of power, but you know, that's basically what it is. That's what I'm trying to explain here. But basically, I want to work on the pilots first, because the pilots and like what the pilots can do will play a lot into what a mech can do. And I don't necessarily want to discount mechs, but you know, that is what they are. So currently speaking, we have beats. I think we should try to but determine how you make stats, which I think, hang on, did I already do that? Let's see. I didn't do that. So let's real quick actually determine how you create stats. I'm thinking it's probably just gonna be D&D stats. So you roll 4d6 and you drop the lowest, right? So, and that's how you do it for each stat. You do that like, in this case, 5 times, right? You throw out like 4d6 5 times. I mean, you move the lowest each time, and that is going to be your stat array. And you can plug those numbers into any stat you want. Because personally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of doing the whole, oh, you can't shit, like you roll and that is the order of your stats. So plus it might be something like, oh, I already did write it right here. And then there's something like probably like point buy, which I actually don't know much about, because I usually never do point buy. I usually do standard array, which standard array is like 8, 12, 12, 14, 16, right? Also, 1 second. All right, I'm back. So let's expand this a bit more, and yeah, let's expand the creation process a bit more. Yeah, no issue. I'm gonna look up something real quick. All right. So yeah, sorry, I'm just looking something up real quick. Specifically, I'm making sure that I'm not talking out of my booty when it comes to how to make a D&D character. Let's see. Will be creating a pilot. Okay, I'm just looking this up real quick. To create a pilot, you should consider several. Hi, just looking this up real quick. I'm Jack. Hello. Oh, okay. You're being a stinky nerd. Got it. All right. Let's tab real or tab. Create a pilot stats. Roll 4, 6, 5 times once for each stat. Drop the lowest number and the total of the remaining dice is what the stat is. Dang. Well, hi Jack, I'm Basco Prola. I am the coolest boy this side of the Mississippi. Alright. Drop it and... Thank you. I appreciate the compliments. I'm trying to think of wording. You... Once the number that is bold, assign the numbers to stats. That's of the stats are low. Yeah, I appreciate you hanging out. Let me just get rid of this little meme image right here. I mean, it's true. I do appreciate you like people hanging out. There's no need, there's like no requirement for people to do that. So hanging out is heavily appreciated because of that. Yeah, I'm just gonna make sure. And always something if you don't wish to your stats, you can always standard. No. So it is meant to be a similar thing to D&D. So while you can play it over text, it is one of the many options. You'll be able to presumably play this in person as well as play it like over Discord or like in Tabletop Simulator, so on and so forth. Yeah. So sort of. It doesn't need to be text based, but it is one of the many options for you to be able to play it. Standard array, which is where you assign predetermined number to each stat. That the numbers for the standard array are 15, 14, 13, and we'll play this though. I've never been in D&D before. I don't think I can commit to a campaign. Well, that is totally fine. I plan on releasing, like, this is like still in development. It's not even like an alpha yet. I would like to release an alpha relatively soon. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. And I would love to have not only me play test it, but also having other people play test it. So, even like a one-off, like try to do like a crackpot little thing. That would be very much like an optimal thing to occur. Because basically, bigger the net, the better it is for getting feedback and such. The number, the stat determines the bonus that you will receive when skill checks. Skill checks or saving. Let's see. A good thing to keep in mind is that 10, the base average for a perfectly generic person to have, but having an 8 in a thing does not aren't able to do said task means you aren't experienced in it. There we go. Basically, I was just saying, like, hey, remember, if you have an 8 in a stat, does not mean that you are, like, incapable of doing that stat. It just means your character is inexperienced. So I'm gonna add a little clause in. If the number rolled is less than 8, feel free to re-roll said stat, although aware that you don't, you know, number below 8, feel free to roll that stats with your DM's permission. There we go. That's a much better way to handle that. So like if your character is like if you roll super poorly, right? Like let's say this is like this improbable roll occurs where you roll 4d6 and each one comes up as 1, right? You will have the ability score of a 3 for that stat, which is very, very low. Like, if that was in physicality, I would say your character might not even be able to walk. Which, knowing Gundam, that has actually occurred with some people. So that is when you can ask your DM, hey, can I reroll the stat because it is hot dog garbage. Or if you want to have a challenge for yourself, you can keep that stat, although be aware that it is a situation where it's like, oh gosh, I have a 3 in a stat. If I put that in like wisdom, for instance, I have 0 social consciousness. Yeah, so like there's actually are like people who are disabled in Gundam, more or less. Like in Gundam Iron Blood Orphans, there is a pilot that at one point who loses the ability to move their body, but using technology, they were still able to pilot a mech. Of course, that mech later then is destroyed and the guy's brain is recovered and used for a computer system, but I digress. Having a lower than average stat, I think, is usually frowned upon in D&D and Pathfinder. But I think that leads to some great storytelling, especially because your character won't be able to do everything. I feel like a lot of people will forget about the fact that, yeah, your character shouldn't be able to do everything possible. That makes you a Mary Sue. People sometimes just aren't charismatic, or people sometimes just aren't intelligent, or people don't have the best physicality, or a stiff breeze will knock someone down, you know? I had a friend like that where they got sick all the time because, like, basically they had an immunocompromised situation, but I digress. It adds some interesting story to the game. Exactly. Experiencing it. Hang on, I'm gonna place this somewhere else. Or yeah, let's place this somewhere else. With your DM's permission. If you do not want to roll your stats, you can instead choose to the standard array, which is 15, 14, 13, 10, and 8. Boom. Of course, that number might change with feedback. These numbers right here, these might all change with feedback, but for now, that is the standard array. All right. The next step is to determine your character's background. While the background doesn't determine your character's present situation, there are many aspects that one might be able to draw on when piloting a mech or when they are in a situation. The background will also give a unique trait as well as a bonus to an ability scores and base stats. Boom. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's just saying what a character's stats do, or like backgrounds do. Your character can also disregard their past, and if that is the case, work with your DM on. Actually, no. That's just gonna be the drafty background. Okay, let's change this up a bit. Drafty is the base background. Almost everyone in this war may have. Most people no longer choose to join the military during times of great conflict. Rather, they are forced it. If you this background, you take an extra base trait and +2 or +1, another +1, any base that of yours. You can choose 3 skills to. There we go. Proficiencies. There we go. Ah! Accidentally hit new control and control B. Why are you in aerial? Or why are you so baby? I'm just gonna control Z baby. Control B and man, I'm having a hard time just typing today, huh? The soldier. The soldier chose to be part of this war. You are climbs the race and now are went to the ringer and you have become a part in battles. Yeah. Take a +2 your mentality with the limit of 20. As well as... Oh, we should have determined skills! I forgot, we need to determine what skills are. Fuck! Hang on, let's just kinda push this down. Skills. We need skills. I'm gonna look at D&D skills and see if I can glean anything off of that. Okay, so D&D has acrobatics, animal handling, arcana, athletics, perception, history, insights, intimidation, investigation, medicine, nature, perception, performance, vision, religion, sleight of hand, stealth, and survival. So that is all the D&D stats right there. We definitely need to get rid of Arcana and I think Animal Handling, because I don't think that's going to be necessarily required. I'm going to say Nature as well can get zipped off for the time being. Survival I'm going to keep, because if there's a situation where you're out of your mech and you're like stranded, that might be necessary. Piloting? I'm not gonna make piloting a skill. Or maybe maneuvering. Maneuver. I'm gonna say, okay, let's go over here as well. Skills that use. Firearms, small. Firearms, medium. Firearms, large. Or, hang on. That was the wrong place to put the hacking. Melee, simple weapons, melee, complex weapons, languages, oh, I'm actually gonna go, I have a little emergency maintenance session real quick. We're back. Sorry about that. You know just how it is with emergency maintenance and all that jazz. And hey, you know what, Selfin? Thank you for being here anyways. I appreciate you hanging out, even if you are doing the video and the games. We're just working on the game a bit more, you know how it is. We're currently trying to figure out what to do for skills and the such. I'm unsure of how we should be handling skills. Like if it's going to be like D&D style, where there's like an array of skills, like you see right here, that kind of everyone just kind of knows to some extent. Or if there is like skills that you specifically tailor your character to have, such as being able to use firearms, and then firearms small, medium, and large, or melee weapons, or languages, stuff like that. I'm unsure of how we should be handling that, honestly. I'm not sure if we should be doing the D&D strategy or not when it comes to skills. So I'm gonna look towards you, the audience. So hopefully, if y'all are still, if anyone is willing to participate, what do y'all think we should be doing here for something like determining skills? Because I'm not sure myself. Yeah, I'm not sure. Might also come back to that. I might do like a survey on my Twitter or something, being like, hey, how do we handle this or something? So I'm gonna take a little sip of coolant while I'm thinking. Delicious. All right. I think tentatively we're gonna be doing that. I think I should explain what ability scores are. How that up? Man, how the fuck are you supposed to organize this shit? God damn. You know, I'm gonna. Flop this around. I'm gonna finish writing these descriptions and stuff. I am not going to. I'm gonna say tentatively bonuses here. Bonuses here. The hacker knows their way around computer systems, be it personal or large scale systems, such as those in Mech. Bonuses here. mechanic. The mechanic knows how machinery works. Be it to repair, maintain, or invent new physical means of housing use. They are vital for any food to have. There we go. Then I'm gonna say weaponsmith still, because I think the weapon. God dang it! I think weaponsmiths are a cool idea. So the weaponsmith, you know, our weaponsmith knows how to make something go boom. A weapon, both small and large scale, and invent, modify, or maintain any sort of gun or sword handed. Bonus is here. Bonus is here. Gonna get rid of the streamer. The streamer. Those people. They once use their talents to. Now they. In their war effort to get forces behind them or convince not fight. Bonus is here. Then Bing Bong. The politician. Why are you small, baby? Politician. Once he used in charge of something, get a town, city, state, etc. Their position is now over or on hold as they participate or effort. These people are talented in acquiring materials as well as having sheer present interacting. Bonuses here. I feel like we're missing a background, right? We got the soldier, the draftee, the hacker, the mechanic, the weaponsmith, the streamer, the politician. I feel like we're missing something. This doesn't feel like a complete list. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like a complete list quite yet. What could we be missing? I am unsure. I'm gonna take a sip of coolant. Oh, so I'm getting called real quick. I'm gonna pick that up. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, just wrong phone number. I've been getting calls from people and I'm like, hey, y'all got the wrong phone number. Don't know what to do about that. Because it sounds like it's a business and they just have not removed my phone number for some reason. It's just been a whole hog of an issue, you know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely feel like we're missing a background here, right? Like what would be a good background, right? Because we have. Oh, hello, Apollo. Thank you for the raid. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're enjoying yourself. What were you streaming, my friend? Hello again. So okay, we have a list of backgrounds, right? We have a list of backgrounds here, right? We got I see. Dead Space is a great game. But yeah, we have a list of backgrounds that you can select for your character, and while your character doesn't necessarily need to follow what the background is, like if your character basically disregards their past, their skills will still matter, right? So, like, right now we have the Drafty, which is basically a base background. It's like picking a human in Dungeons and Dragons. You get, like, you can choose what your bonuses go in. You get to choose, like, a skill, like a free skill, or like a feat, maybe. Soldiers, the hacker, the mechanic, the weaponsmith, the streamer, and the politician. Those are all the backgrounds we have come up with so far. I don't think having a new type is a good idea. I feel like we should make that a feat rather than a background, so that any person can become a new type if they desire. But I feel like we're missing a background. Like we're missing a couple backgrounds right now, you know? The current spread we have now doesn't particularly fit in my, like, it doesn't feel complete. Do you know what I mean? Of course, take your time. So, if you guys have any ideas for backgrounds, of course, let me know. Because I'm currently, like, racking my brain here, trying to think of, like, what would a good idea be for backgrounds, you know what I mean? I agree. So we have the soldier. We have the soldier, which probably would be like the generic fighter, so to speak. We could have like other like specialties when it comes to medic. Medic, that's a good idea. Well, just the doctor. The doctor. Doctor had once taken a vow to do no harm. Up to you if they still hold that vow. But either way, The doctor knows a body and can heal or harm. Bonuses here. All right, I like that. Okay, that was a good suggestion. That was an excellent suggestion. What about like specialty? I'm gonna take away the soldier. I think I might take away the soldier. I'm gonna leave it there for now, but the soldier is definitely in my crosshairs for removal. Because I think we might also want to try to incorporate some other types of fighting. Because, you know, if someone wants to be like basically like a war gamer, right? They should be able to. So let's go with like the artillerist. That works. I want to temptively keep soldier there as basically a baseline so far for our fighting backgrounds. But the artillerist, right? So artillery and stuff like that. The gunner. Artillerist versus gunner. Gunners use small arms, artillerists use large arms. And this will all also be playing to like how you play in mechs and stuff too. The duelist. That's a good one. The duelist. Right? So instead of slapping each other with guns, what about something like a zealot? Like a religious background? Like a priest? That's not a bad idea. I mean, that was a thing in Gundam Thunderbolt, actually. They basically had to deal with like a cult. Either that or political / other things. There's already the politician right there. Yeah, that's the politician. I don't think there's magic. I don't think there's magic in this setting. I think I want to keep this pretty much sci-fi only. But these are some good ideas for backgrounds. Let's write the descriptions real quick. Well, Azella isn't purely religious based, so there could be something they could be fanatical for. Oh, yo, Apollo. Think about it like this. Char Aznable, right? I would call Char a zealot, like a zealot, right? But instead of calling them a zealot, well, I don't know how to pronounce that word now I'm thinking about it, but you know that word. We call them the Mask. What thoughts? Right? The Mask. And the flavor of the mask, right, is going to be like explosives. Thank you. That's a actually. I feel like the artillerist might be also playing to explosives. I feel like I'm also playing there, but I'm also gonna tentatively say explosions, demolitions. Demolitionist. And then last but not least, the Mask. Alright, I think that's a good amount for now. We might add some more later. We might take away some as well. I think it might depend as well when we start playtesting. I want to start writing the descriptions. So here's the idea for the Mask, right? Instead of doing this like the Zealot. I think that's still how you pronounce it, Zealot. The Mask, right? The Mask. Mask has shed their identity in place of a symbol, be it a physical mask, a color, or an idea. They will stop at nothing to achieve said goal. That is including assassinations of those on their side, stealing, cheating their way. This does not excuse PvP or acting like a butt towards fellow players. Right, so like the mask, right, is basically like the char of this game, right? That is the class for Char Aznable. Because to those who don't know Char Aznable, the dude had like stripped away his personality like layer by layer to get to where he was. And instead, he kind of more became a symbol, right? It was the iron mask, right, that he wore, and the red mobile suits he piloted. So I feel like the masks from like a skill point of view would be like very adept in like intimidation, deception, and maybe like what else? What other good skills? I feel like I'm gonna try to assign 3 skills per background that you just automatically take a bonus to. But that's the mask, right? How does that sound? Right, because I think that sounds pretty good. I think that also kind of fits in with the origin of the idea. I didn't want to use the word zealots. Because zealots, the word itself, I think usually has a religious connotation. And personally speaking, I don't necessarily want to get into a whole religious debate in this game. But having like the idea of a zealot, so someone who's like very impassioned towards their goal or group or side, is a great idea. So good, that was a great choice, Apollo. And then these ones are all going to be kind of pretty similar, right? So like the artillerist was taught how to use a very, very big gun. They specialize in utilizing weapons that can shell from a distance or both in and out of mechs, as well as things such as long distance weaponry. There we go. The demolitionists. Things tend to explode around the demolitionist. They specialize in things such as rocket launchers, grenade launchers, as well as things such as laser launchers and particle cannons. These are not these skills can also apply in a mech. Bonus here. I forgot to also say bonus here. Bonus here. Ah! The gunner knows their way around. Machine gun, rifle, pistol, name it. As long as it is a smaller arm, you can use it both in it with a higher level of skill compared to other folks. There we go, and then the duelist. The duelist is purely from that one fight at the end of Mobile Suit Gundam 0079 where Amuro and Char Aznavour like fought, you know, it was like the Zeong and the RX-78. It was the final shootout. And then the fight continued after the final shootout, and they started like they shot at each other with like rocket launchers. The rocket launchers ran out of ammo, so they started shooting at each other with pistols. The pistols ran out of ammo, so they disregarded those. And then they started sword fighting each other. Right? They took out two rapiers and started like swishing their swords at each other. And I think that was a pretty iconic moment. Just from a silly point of view. So I think having a duelist skill, so also like, because a lot of these skills might also translate into a mech. These might, since these might be translating into a mech, a duelist will also be like specializing in melee weaponry. So like if a mech has laser swords, heat hawks, which again might not be using the word heat hawks, I'm not sure of the legal issues there. Basically giant axes that get super hot, knives, swords, maces, morning stars, stuff like that. Punching. Fuck, dude, if you want, you can reinforce your mech's fists and just punch the shit out of another mech, and that should be a viable play option. And that might be good for the duelist. So I was just checking some notifications. You know. All right. Nice. Nice. All right. The duelist. The duelist knows a melee item with grace and elegance, or just punch your lights out. Hard to tell sometimes. You as a duelist will be able to use an array of melee weapons both in and out of mechs. You know what? Actually, now I'm thinking about it, because it does seem to be kind of like a divide between, I would say, almost like civilian backgrounds and then military backgrounds. I might do a situation where you choose 2 backgrounds and pair them together. Right? So like for instance, you can be a weaponsmith demolitionist, right? And you specialized in creating and modifying and maintaining of like rocket launchers and like heavy explosive weapons or something like that. That might be an idea to go off of, because this is also kind of creating, in a way, a character's class, right? Because it's not really a class system, except for maybe this. This might be the closest thing to a class system in this game. It might take some tweaking. It might take a lot of thinking and debating. I'm particularly hesitant on the mask because I realized as I was typing it, the way that I am describing it, I don't want the mask to basically be, oh yes, because I am the mask, I can be a dick to my fellow players. I don't think that should be a thing. So hopefully I can reword that so you're not a super big jerk sauce to your fellow players. You know what I mean? Cool. Yeah. All right. I think that is a pretty good amount of background to be selecting from now. Of course, like I said, this might be expanding or not expanding. Hard to say. I kind of want to work on feats now. You know, I kind of want to work on some feats, right? I think we should work on some feats. Let's work on some feats. Let's add a description to new type. Or we can just keep on adding on some more feats. Fuck. What a good feats. Shit. Multi-weapon. Right? Multi-weapon maybe? So like multiple weapon handling. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Multiple weapon handling. God damn, what are feats? What are feats? Let's look at some D&D feats for inspiration. D&D feats. Alerts. Alerts. Athletes. Lucky. Ooh, Charger. Charger might be fun, right? Using your mobile suit to fucking ram other mobile suits. Or mechs, I mean. So yeah, like basically like what a Charger. This is probably gonna be yoinked straight from D&D, at least for inspiration. Because like Charger in D&D, right? When you dash as an action, you can use a bonus action to do a melee attack, or to shove a creature. So imagine, imagine if you're going for like a particularly like heavy melee build, you can dash, and using charger, you can basically ram your suit into another suit. That would be really cool. That would be pretty awesome, I think. And these are all pilot feats, just to clarify, right? These are all feats that a pilot will be using rather than a mech. And a mech feat is, because mechs will have feats, not like the organ feat, but like feats as with an A in it. And but I think I'm gonna call those systems instead. So like instead of having a feat, your machine has a special system installed that allows it to do some stuff. Firearms expert. Defensive. Let's see. Let's go with durable. Friendly. Friendly. No issue. I'm just working on some feats now, because I think we have a pretty good amount of backgrounds. So I'm working on some feats that we could be using. So currently the list is new type, once again, for lack of a better term. I might change that into like empath or something. Multiple weapon handling, so that is being able to use multiple weapons at once. Alerts, which is basically being able to detect your surroundings. Hustling barter. That might be a skill. I think hustling on barter might be a skill. Feats specifically is like special abilities that you put onto your character. Not necessarily a skill, more like an innate ability they have. So like lucky, for instance, right? Lucky is not a skill that you can train. Luck is just a thing that happens. Charger, on the other hand, that is kind of a skill, but you know what? We'll let it slide this time. Same with firearms expert, defensive duelists, and defensive duelists. But you know what? Those are also mainly for people who like aren't a duelist, for instance, right? If someone's like a doctor, they can take defensive duelists, right, and be able to defend themselves. But multiple weapon handling, machinery affinity. Oh yeah, that could be like benefiting. That could be like giving you some benefits to, let's say modifying or creating new machines. I like that. Machinery affinity. Machinery affinity. Let's see. Linguist. Gearhead. Gearhead. Let's call it Gearhead. I like that. What do y'all think? Gearhead for like a skill where you can get an advantage, an even further advantage if you're, especially if you're a machinist or a mechanic. It's like, you know, mechanic, right? You'll get some stuff there, and then with gearhead, if you're not a mechanic, one, you'll be able to get work on some stuff, but a mechanic will get even more benefits if they do a gearhead. Culinary stuff. I'm not sure if culinary existence will be like really playing into this a whole lot, like making food, although food is important. Let's tentatively put cooking as a skill rather than a feat. No, there's nothing wrong with having a role-playing feat. I mean, there is several like that in D&D, where it's much more roleplay than mechanic. This might be this zero G chef. Tentative, right? Beat a 0G chef. You're able to cook food in like without gravity or low gravity. That might be pretty important, especially if you're on a ship for quite some time. Let's see, what other things exist in D&D? Let's see. Sharpshooter. I'm not sure if it is gonna be grimdark or not. I suppose it depends on the setting that the DM invents, because there is no reason to use the pre-baked in setting, much like in D&D. Personally speaking, I don't think it is gonna be grimdark. Like, it's going to be dark, but it's not going to be hopeless, you know? That's the difference between grimdark and just having something dark. Because, like, something grimdark usually implies a level of hopelessness to the situation, while darkness implies that, yeah, things suck, but there is a fix. There is a way to fix whatever is happening. I think it's gonna be end up being more dark than grimdark. That's my answer. Final answer. Would you consider including optional stuff like vices and addictions? Yeah, I would include some of that. That is, I think it's some of that stuff is going to be a lot more roleplay heavy, which, you know what? I like myself some roleplay. I think I might make it like an optional rule saying like, hey, talk to your DM if you want to include vices and addictions, right? Because people do need to cope. People need to cope with war, right? It is definitely a war game. Not like a war game as in like Warhammer type of war game, but it's like the setting is a war. Healthy coping. Yeah, that works. Healthy coping. Yeah, let's also start writing. I'm gonna just rename this into empath. Let's start writing some of these descriptions. So, empath. You were born different, and with your new awakened abilities, you can... Okay, there is going to be some magic BS, because empaths are going to be new types, and new types are basically space wizards. But it's not going to be like throwing spells at left and right. It's going to be like an empath can speak to someone using their mind, as long as they are also an empath. As well as they are most spatially aware. But at the cost of, if an empath dies near them, they will take mental damage. They'll take some damage on the brains. So you can speak to others using your mind, as well as feeling the presence of them. Fortunately, this means you can hear and feel them dying in your mind as well. I don't think there will be funky space viruses. Not because there isn't a need for funky space viruses. It's more like, in a lot of the inspirations. So like the inspirations being Battletech, Macross, and Gundam. Not in that order. There aren't exactly funky space diseases. I think it might depend on the setting that your DM will create, but I don't think there will be any funky space diseases baked into the game. Right? So like, I was thinking that the setting for this game is going to be basically Earth, the moon, space colonies, which are basically just gonna be like space stations that are giants, and Mars, right? That is going to be... No, there's not gonna be inherent issues with being outside of your mech. No, that shouldn't be a situation. But the setting's gonna be Mars, Earth, the moon, and space stations. That's gonna be all the areas where people can be from, and albeit, even though that is maybe some Venus space stations might be cool too. Like, we're very slowly processing, like, terraforming Venus, but like Venus is still very toxic, so people can only live on the upper levels of the atmosphere. That might be a cool idea. I kind of like that idea. How do y'all feel about that? Venus space, like upper atmosphere stations, space stations, Earth, the moon, and Mars. That's all the areas within the base game. Of course, you know, depending on your DM can change the setting. But that is like the recommended setting, because you know most games have that, right? Like Cyberpunk, Shadowrun, D&D, Pathfinder, Starfinder. They all have like recommended settings, but they're not necessarily like hard baked in. Like, you can easily make a new setting using this system. I like that idea. I'm vibing with that idea. All right. Rubbing my greasy paws together, my greasy robot paws. Let's finish up writing these descriptions. Oh, isn't this basically Among Us? Among Us. Yes, this is now Among Us. I deceived you all along. You can... Why does it do that? You motherfucking... Let tiny. You can handle multiple weapons at the same time. Hey, listen. Don't worry about it. I don't like cursing every other sentence, but I think saying fuck, you know, curse words exist to spice a sentence. I don't like cursing every other sentence though, so unless I'm really, really mad. These can be different types or same type of weapon. Yeah, exactly. You know, that's a spicy sentence you just made there. Alert. You are more aware of your surroundings and can detect sneak attacks as well. Much better. Je parle français. As in, I speak French. Are much more physically in tune compared to other people. Big bonuses to your physicality. You just said a type of bread, a baguette, and oui, which is yes. You tend to be luckier than the rest. You can re-roll dice equal to your proficiency modifier. These will recharge after a long rest. Ah! Keep accidentally hitting Control M. Je ne parle pas le français. Okay, that makes sense. You don't speak French. Well, je parle le français. Charger. When dashing, you can use a bonus action to make a melee attack or to push a creature mech. I like the charger the most. If I were to play this game, I would definitely want to use charger. Creature is just like, you know, if someone has like attack dogs, right? That's who said anything about space furries? I said nothing about space furries. And experts in a fire art. Take a firearm. I feel like space furries might be just a little too far. I mean, I feel like there might be some slight genetic modification where you might be able to get like ears or a tail if you want, but I don't think like full-on furries exactly exist. I won't entertain it. But you know what? If someone has Neko ears because they like had basically plastic surgery, I'm not gonna deny that. But I'm not gonna make a special thing specifically for space furries. In melee combat, you are able to defend yourself much better. This means if you haven't attacked and are attacked by a melee strike. Durable. Oh, I see what. It's okay. You are able to withstand being hit much better than the rest. Take a bonus to your constitution and constitution. If you are about to be knocked out, roll a 20. On a 20, you will continue standing 1 HP. Ooh, gives you proficiency in handling space dogs. Listen, everyone has proficiency in handling space dogs. Friendly. Will take to you much better. Hello, Darcy. We're working on the Mech game again. We're continuing to work on the Mech game. It will take to you much better. They, when trying to convince someone, you can take an advantage. Nah, don't take an advantage. Actually, take an advantage when the DM. Let's see. Take an advantage when you are being friendly. And trying to convince an NPC. So essentially what friendly will be doing is that when you are being friendly to an NPC, you will take advantage on any skills that basically have to do with convincing. So like deception, raw charisma, and probably bartering as well, stuff like that. You know your way around a chosen mechanic. Who's a specific type of mechanic that you specialize in and take proficiency. Navigation? You're just better at navigating? Yeah, that works. You can cook food in a 0G environment. Healthy coping. You can, if trauma occurs, can take a healthy ism rather than unhealthy. You need a feat that lets you hold in your pee longer while you're in the suit. Nah, man, don't you know? In Gundam and in Macross at least, the seats that you sit on, those are toilets. You can lift up the lid and it's a toilet inside. Yeah, in Gundam at least, and some Macrosses. There is a toilet. The seat can be lifted up if you stand inside your cockpit, and it will reveal a toilet, and it has like a grinder and like a suction inside. It's like a airplane like bathroom, you know? Because airplane bathrooms don't smell unless someone fucking wrecks it in the middle of the flight. But you know, sometimes you're just in your suit for a really long amount of time. Navigation. If you are in unfamiliar territory, instead of getting lost, and simply know where you are all time. There we go. And with that, I think we've actually made some pretty good progress today. Again, we did some pretty good progress. We got some feats, we got some backgrounds, we got like basic character creation, stuff like that. I think I'm gonna call it a stream here. We're about to hit a normal 2-hour mark. Plus, I am a hungry boy, so I need to get some fuel in me. Let's raid somebody. Who should we raid today? Who should we raid? Let's raid X Obsidia X. And our raid message is gonna be Robo Raid. And yeah, once again, thank you all so much for coming to the stream today. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Once again, don't really have a set schedule this week, so just be watching my Twitter as well as my Discord. No, this person is not from Nakam Ascension. This is just a close friend to Nakam Ascension. She's really cool. So yeah, I'm just gonna let the stream catch up, and I'll talk to you all next time.